Folks, I think, hope that we could completely transform Washington. I understand that impulse. There are some very good people here, some good public servants who work very hard. There are some folks who aren't so good. The culture here is not always real healthy. And so bringing about change in terms of how the legislative process operates, in terms of the power that lobbyists have.
That's enough already. Last night, the president went on a comedian's show. He didn't even get a subservient reception that he was hoping for. Can you imagine? They can't even manipulate a third-rate comedian. Even a third-rate comedian put Obama on the defensive and made the president sound uncomfortable. Now, this is not a good sign. It's not good for America. When you see a desperate president where even a comedian and the unknown writers can manipulate him and make him look bad, when a president is willing to sit down with unknown bloggers, when he's facing massive electoral defeat for his party, he is going to become more defensive and more dangerous than he is now. I'm warning you that even if the Republicans can take back both the House and the Senate, which I still doubt they can do, Obama will still have vast presidential powers at his command and never forget it. And he, let us say, has an instinct towards totalitarianism in that he studied with people who admired totalitarian regimes such as the ex-Soviet Union, as I proved over and over again. He still has command of the entire FBI, the CIA, the Justice Department. He still owns all the ACLU lawyers. He still has George Soros in his corner. Now remember, a president so backed into a corner could do even more damage to the Constitution than the high-flying, overconfident Obama we've gotten used to in the last 2 years. And I don't want you to forget this for 1 minute. This is the same president who said there must be a civilian national security force just as strong, just as well-funded as the U.S. military. But there is another possibility. Obama is now facing a nation that opposes his naked Marxism thanks to my book, Trickle Up Poverty. The independent voters who put him in power because they were fed up with Bush and the K Street gang, and even his own left-wing base are turning against him. But the puppet masters of the Democrat Party want to maintain power at all costs. If this means that they must ease Obama out of the presidency, their once convenient tool, I believe they will do so. Do you believe that Obama will serve out his term? There are reports coming out now from strange websites saying that they're going to declare that he's incompetent and have him dismissed from the office. I don't know if this can be done or will be done, but if you remember, a year ago I told you it has been done in other countries, and it's usually done from within their own within the party of the person himself. We go back to England. It's the beginning of World War II, and England is facing Germany, an increasingly powerful Germany, a Germany who built up its air force, etc. And they have in office a leader who is extremely weak-kneed, an appeaser. And his own party, the Labour movement, the Labour Party, moves to dismiss the then leader of England, saying that he would not be a good wartime prime minister. And they throw him out, and in comes Winston Churchill to save England. I had said at that time that I think there's every reason to believe that the Democrat Party, the old boys in the Democrat Party who control it, will come one day to understand what most of America now understands. When they finally lift their beaks out of the wells they've been drinking from, so to speak, to use a Godfather analogy, and they look around and see the devastation that this far-left radical has wrought upon their own party, since they don't care about America, that's obvious, but they certainly care about their own party. When they see what this amateur has done to their own party's fortunes, they're going to move to get him out of office. And I believe that they will do so with a process that is perfectly constitutional, which is have him removed for incompetence, because there's no question that we have the most incompetent president in American history. How else do you explain the man going on a comedian show and getting beaten by a third-rate comedian who uses lines written for him by unknown writers? Anyway, I think I've made my point. There's no direct question. I am the underdog in the major media, Michael Savage. Make no mistake about it, I am the underdog versus the lapdogs. That's right. That's how I've defined myself finally. It's taken me a while to come to it. But the underdog versus the lapdogs is how I define my place in the American media landscape. How else do you explain that the American people have rushed out to buy my book without a drop of promotion in the mainstream media? How is it possible? And the answer is because the truth will always be listened to, the truth will always be found. But more than that, America has always had a romance or a love affair with the underdog, and they know I'm the underdog. Speaking of lapdogs, Bush's new book is out. It's not exactly War and Peace. We're calling it Snore and Appease. I also believe that numerology is at work in this election. Let me explain. Those of you who are into numbers and numerology. 37 Senate seats and 37 governors are up for election. I said, wait a minute, let me read that again. 37 Senate seats and 37 governors are up for election. That's very interesting. And then I look and I see that a certain somebody has a 37-point plan to save America. I said 37, 37, 37. The numbers are lining up. Now, if I were playing lotto, I think I'd bet 37, 37, 37 or something like that tonight. But I'm telling you, there's something odd. 37 Senate seats up for grabs. 37 governors are up for election. And I have a 37-point plan for America, beginning with English only, close the borders, defend the borders, defund Obamacare, reduce the size and scope of government, liquidate TARP, get oil for every illegal here, strike down the anchor babies law, export jailed illegal aliens, fire Janet Napolitano, use profiling to prevent terror attacks, name the enemy, rewrite the rules of engagement for our troops, save the Navy SEALs, reinforce the military infrastructure, give a pay raise for actual combat troops, silence the Hitler of Iran, impose tariffs on China, offer health savings plans, institute a flat tax, keep the estate tax at zero, say no to the VAT tax, reduce pay and pensions for civil servants, defend the Defense of Marriage Act, encourage childbearing among tax-paying citizens, make abortions illegal, end affirmative action, limit welfare benefits, voting reform, boot out the czars, put the brakes on GM, reinstate the Glass-Steagall Act, reinstitute the Wall Street uptick rule, privatize the regulation of Wall Street, encourage risk-taking and entrepreneurship. 36, institute tort reform. That means cripple the tort lawyers. 37, run the country like a business, not an empire. 37 points, all in trickle-up poverty. And you think that it's all hype? You think he's full of hope and I'm full of hype? You got it just backwards, my friend. There are 37 Senate seats and 37 governorships are up for election. Michael Savage has 37 points to save America. We're open for business. 1-800-449-8255. MichaelSavage.com. And we got plenty of news for you, too, on top of it all. This just came out. Should I throw it all out in the opening? A Saudi prince has appealed for the movement of the Ground Zero Mosque. You heard me right. It's no longer the American nationalists and fair-minded Americans everywhere who say, get that damn mosque out of Ground Zero. It doesn't belong there. It's a victory mosque. It's an insult. And don't give the Islamists another foothold on our society. Now it's a Saudi prince who has aided the imam spearheading a proposed Islamic center near Ground Zero, is appealing for another site not associated with the wound of the September 11 attacks, the report said today. In an interview published by the Dubai-based Arabian business magazine, Prince Al-Walid bin Talal was quoted as saying that moving the planned mosque and other facilities would respect the memory of those killed in the 01 attacks and allow American Muslims to choose a more suitable location. So Mayor Bloomberg is not only on the wrong side of this issue, he is so on the wrong side of history that even a Muslim Saudi prince understands that America is moving to the right. America will have its day in the sun again, and this mosque will never see the light of day at Ground Zero. Now you can play some music. How about playing the Marine Corps hymn? That might work. That might work. Or the Washington Post, if you want. The Washington Post March. Not the newspaper Washington Post song. Because we don't play the Internationale on the Savage Nation. It is a good day to be an American when we see the worst president in American history groveling before a 10th-rate comedian from Queens, New York. We know that we're on the ascent and the communists are on the descent in the United States of America. I really mean that. I sincerely mean that. How else do you explain this president debasing himself and the presidency in front of a 10th grade comedian? I don't know how you explain it any other way. Play the music. Forget what I'm saying. Here in San Francisco, we got the World Series. I asked somebody why they're not interested in the World Series, and she said to me, how come they don't look heroic? What happened to the ball players? She said, what's with the long hair the hanging over there? That's so out of fashion except amongst white trash. What's with the hair over the collar? I mean, no one wears hair like that anymore except basic. I mean, who wears hair like that? I don't even see anybody wearing it anymore. Even Charlie Sheen cuts his hair, and look how low he is, for God's sakes. But here in the San Francisco Bay Area, the newspaper has gotten so illiterate. The level of illiteracy has reached a new low. I want you to read you a headline that you're not going to believe the writing, if I could only find it again. There's so much I have to remember. I can't find it. It's so illiterate, I can't remember it. Wait, here it is. Rain now expected to hold off for Game 2. Now, if I were a 7th grade teacher in English composition, I'd give the person an F. Rain now expected to hold off for Game 2. Folks, that's illiterate. Everything about it is wrong. It was written by a Trapper Byrne for the San Francisco Chronicle. Rain now expected to hold off for Game 2. I guess they don't even go to English composition anymore in San Francisco. Jerry Brown jumps to 10-point lead. Now, why is Meg Whitman in California falling behind after she spends $120 million of her own money? Can anyone answer that question? How even a retread like Jerry Brown, who was California's worst governor in history, is now ahead of Meg Whitman, who spent $120 million of her own money? There's a few simple answers. Meg Whitman spent $120 million thinking that the people were idiots. But she will not take any position except middle-of-the-road positions. She's doing exactly what the Republicans have done wrongly for a long time now. She is not paying any attention whatsoever to the Tea Party base, the conservative base, as it were, in the state of California, and they're just not interested in the W.C. Fields lookalike in a skirt. I'll be right back.
Savage.